do all that again. Welcome to the Art of Rock every Saturday, but not for the next few Saturdays because I've got work on. Yay. Join us here in a few weeks. But you are watching the Art of Rock, and this is brought to you by the amazing people on Angelspit's Patreon. My God, thank you. And I will keep you going as you keep me going. There's Angelspit's Patreon. Do me a favor, go join. You will help me do that. And Angelspit's got a new album called Diesel Priest, and it's your parents will hate you if you listen to it, and they'll be really concerned. We're really concerned about you. We've also got The Madness, which is the new single, which is Stand in Line, and it's bloody great. Go get it. It's on Bandcamp. I also released an ambient album, but it's Ambience from Hell, called Sequence 1 Glass Jar, and there's an audiobook coming up for that, and it's going to blow your mind. And everything's going to come together, and you're going to go, wow, there is overarching evil and craziness in this. Hold on a minute. Don't do that, Carl. Do that, Carl. There's a whole bunch of bands you need to know about, and they're there on that Spotify link there. They are bands that are here. Go and listen to them like a band and add it to your playlist so you can help them get the word out there. And if you want more music, non-stop dark music from hell, MTV TV. That's their Twitter, their Twitch. Follow that damn thing. It's bloody awesome. If you're doing work and you want to listen to something, watch MTV TV. If you've got a video, use that email and send it to them because they will play your video. And they're also got a Patreon because they got to keep them going. That didn't make sense, but I got to tell you, English schminglish. Shall we begin? Mark, you have a question. What a fantastic question. I'm going to throw that open to the floor because I've got a whole bunch of vocal melody creators here. And it's going to help. Actually, Mark, ask the question again because I had your mic muted.
Wonderful. Okay. I want to ask other people, what are your approaches to composing vocal melodies?
Ladies and gentlemen. Alex, hit me.
Well, I don't have like a super great approach, but I just try to come with something up that feels good to sing. So whatever comes out of me, I try to record that and just... Sometimes I even hear something in my head if I read your lyrics and I use that. And if I can't sing it, then I just simplify it or transpose it or whatever. But that's my approach. Just whatever comes into my head whenever I read the lyrics to the beat or to the music, and that's what I go with.
Brilliant, man. Thank you. Rosie!
I was thinking this is a pretty simple, straightforward answer, but then as I'm going through it, let's try. I usually do lyrics after a chord progression. You know, I'll sketch a melody with another instrument. Usually that's guitar or synth for me. Sometimes the keyboard is way later, sometimes the guitar. But once that's down and there's like a lyrical idea going, I'll get some syllables down and some of the key phrases and then start attaching those through the less important phrases so that some of the hooks really have places to land. And you'll know your hooks. Like when you hear something that really fits emotionally with the contour of the lyric and with the chord progression or the drone that you've got, and they really like mesh well, like it's a heightened emotional point in the song and it's the melodic hook of the thing, you know you've got like this little moment. Those stay, hopefully, for the rest of the life of the thing. Put a pin in that moment, and then sometime down the road after I put it away, I'll go back and figure out what the chord progression is on an instrument that I'm good at. So like I'll listen through all the various guitar and synth parts and really nail, okay, what's my progression, my harmonic progression supposed to be? And if it's just a 1, 4, 5, I'm going to play those and sing against the guitar instead of the track and figure out what I really meant by that melodic contour. And I'll take all the quarter tones and, hey, if I meant to be out of tune there, good, let's leave it. But if I really just didn't know what the hell key I was working with, now I know, because I've got the progression distilled, something solid to anchor off of, and I can make the decision to refine the melody against that. And I'm gonna leave it at that. I mean, that's how I get to the melody. It's not a final track necessarily yet, but it's like a finished lyric with a melody.
That's excellent. Thank you. Maz.
So I am still definitely trying to figure this out. I'm really glad you asked this question because I need to know. My best guess would be just sort of like just keep repeating the lyrics and adding in like different notes and just like play around with like, okay, let's emphasize this word, let's emphasize this word, and just like see which one fits best and play around until you can sort of sculpt it out. But yeah, and then there's like the age-old industrial technique of just not even using a melody for the lyrics, but it's the bass line that has the entire melody, which is also a fun one. But yeah.
Cool. Rezi, can I go in after you? Thank you, Mez. Alex, part B.
Just wanted to say I used to be very good at it, but somehow I lost it with time. So I need to get back into it. Maybe it was because I was writing for another person and not for myself. But I think right now I struggle for it, maybe because I'm sort of don't have a voice yet, or trying to find a voice. I'm making progress, but still, I think for me it's easier to write for someone else than for myself.
Interesting. Thank you, man. Rezi!
Mez mentioned repetition, and I think I might have glossed over how much of the process for me that is. Like looping a small section of the song that's got nothing melodic yet and singing over it for a couple of days or, you know, an hour straight, and not recording or trashing the tracks or muting them off or stashing little moments over and over until something evolves. It's a big part of the process, or it can be for sure. I mean, sometimes you end up with something right off the bat, and you just the first thing that you scat into the mic, lyricless, just melodic contour is the thing that sticks for me.
Excellent, man. Mark, can I ask you, what are you looking for? Melodies? Are you looking for shapes? Is it going to be you singing it, another person singing it, a synthesizer singing it? Give me some background.
Oh yeah. So I have so I have Vocaloid software. For those who don't know, Vocaloid software is a synthesizer that you can put in lyrics and tone and other, yes, exactly that, and a little thing so that you can basically program the machine to sing. It's fairly popular. Hatsune Miku is a big Vocaloid artist. That is a spooky cat.
Yeah. Isn't she great? Isn't she great?
Yeah.
She's going to start screaming in a minute.
That's how you get your melody. Listen to the cat sing.
Yeah?
Maybe.
Listen to the cat sing. Shays,
Oh, I lost my foot.
yeah,
I
no.
lost my phone.
Okay, so basically what you're going to... I personally think that the best way to come up with a vocal melody is by using your vocals. And what everybody else has said here is you jam it out. Are you using a Vocaloid because you are not feeling confident with your voice?
That is part of it, because I have absolutely no musical training whatsoever, whether it be my voice, instruments, anything. And also, I bought the software like years ago, so you know,
Right.
I'd like to use the software I bought.
Okay. I'll go back to a rant, which is the greatest, strongest instrument you have to define you and your sound is your voice. Specifically, number one. So this could turn into, I encourage you to use your voice, because the fact of the matter that you have no idea what you're doing is in fact the strongest card you have to play in music, because you stand to make lots of mistakes. And as all of us know, the best shit you're ever going to write comes from those mistakes. And once you know what you're doing, you will look back at the time when you were making heaps of mistakes and had no idea what you were doing, and you will go, I would give anything to have that clear mind again. So take advantage of the perfect, heavenly, green grass-filled field that you are in now, and plucketh from the trees and see what they taste like. Because you're not jaded, and you're not sick of that tree, and you're not sick of that one, and you're not sick of the smell of the grass. Take advantage of this. Stand in front of a microphone and see what you got. The thing about a Vocaloid is you can't really make them growl. They sound... You can? Okay, we'll talk about that later. I mean, I reckon if we put a Vocaloid in a room and Resi in a room, not to single you out, I think Resi's going to growl better. I think you would growl better. Because you don't know what you're doing. I'm getting off topic, forgive me. Stand in front of a microphone and fuck around with shit. And if you come up with a melody that sounds really good, record it, stick it in your computer and trace out, ask your computer to analyze the notes, see what the notes are that you're playing. I have a problem with melodies that get designed on someone playing a synthesizer because they sound like somebody who's playing a synthesizer. The way that your brain comes up with melodies and makes them real through your mouth is different to the way they come through your fingers. And as Resi was saying, you sing quarter tones and all these things that sound delicious. But as soon as it goes on the synthesizer, we have to play those proper notes, and that's really boring, I think. So I'm going to shut up now and throw it to Alex. But I got more to say. I'm after you, Maz. Alex.
Yeah, I want to encourage you to sing, but if you are set on using Vocaloid, I think it's best to just treat it like a lead synth. Just a very catchy melody in like the right range. I think you would have a pretty good feeling if you listen to many Vocaloid tracks and just use it. And also, what I discovered last Sunday is that if you sing, you need to have less words than when you speak rhythmically, because when you sing, you need this time to breathe, to get all the syllables in. It's much harder. That's what I learned last Sunday.
Excellent. Thank you. Resi.
There's two unfair advantages to using the human voice over a synth for your lead, and to some extent, even with human voice, you can quantize the tempo and pitch to come out with something similar to what Vocaloid does out of the box. Obviously, with your synthesized vocals, you can work it into something beautiful and emotive, but you're built in to do that with the voice to some extent. If you just speak, I mean, it's a musical experience, and taking that into something a little more intentional isn't far away, even for non-trained, I think were your words, Mark. That doesn't matter very much because it's in, as everybody has said, the experimentation and in the similarity to speaking to somebody when you're telling your story in the song. And the second thing Carl mentioned is the stuff that comes between notes that you don't program in, the breaths, the breaking up, the growls, the out of tuneness. I mean, the blue note between, if you're not making your decision whether you're in a minor or a major key, is one of the most emotive things to land on for a soul-wrenching moment in a song. And that's, in the modern rock from the 40s version, relatively on, that's how we do an emotional thing in music with vocals. You might read from that I find that hard auto-tuned and quantized vocals lose some of that and trade it for something else. But it's something to consider strongly. That advantage of using the instrument that you're attached to.
I love it. Thank you. Messi.
Hello. So I think the fact that you're that you're writing the song and then having a Vocaloid sing it is even more of a reason to sing it yourself, just because like then you don't have to be judgmental about your voice that's ending up on the song, because it's not ending up on the song, you're just having the Vocaloid sing it. So like I think you should feel free to, like, as you're programming the song, as you're creating the song, sing it with your own voice, like play with your own voice and see how you want it to sound, and then make the Vocaloid do it. Yeah, and then I also thought it was interesting that Alex brought up the about like using too many consonants and how that'll make it really hard to sing, because I found that in my music that I'm working on, because I'm starting from poems and they're really dense, so I've been ending up just like basically rapping them. So I don't know, I just wanted to say that that's what I'm sort of dealing with on my own music. So yeah.
Thank you. And also, I may have told you this joke, but the joke is, would you like to know, would you like to know how how does opera, would you like to know how opera sets out lyrics, opera, would you like to know? So they'll take a minute to say something that takes that long to say. And it's a standing joke. I know a lot of opera jokes. Okay, so another really excellent thing is, my first question is, what key are you in? We're going to go back to how to write a really excellent melody, rudimentary. And I'll try and do my REM impersonation, but it won't be very good. It'll sound more like Pearl Jam mixed with Morrissey. Pentatonics, man. Minor pentatonic scale. So, what key? Give me a song. Tell me what key it's in. You, Mark, go now.
You said a song?
Yeah, one of your songs. The song you're working on now. What with the bass? What's the
F
bass?
major.
F.
F major.
F major?
Yeah.
Why are you in F major?
I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh, look, Rizzy goes straight to it.
It was an impulse.
F major. Okay, in the situation of F major, I would be using the D minor pentatonic. In fact, if you want to do something really kind of awesome, 9 Inch Nails, use the F minor pentatonic. In fact, put F minor in your bass as well. So that's F, A flat, B flat, C, E flat. And if you want to do something really fantastic that makes it feel like you're open, you're coming in flying, you start on the C, on the 5th. So you play those notes for the vocal. The vocal melody is in those notes somewhere. It's a really simple scale, the minor pentatonic. And in there is going to be the greatest melodies ever written. And if you want to do something really cool to make it sound open, you come in on the 5th. That's C. F, C. So if you come in, hang in on that C, it sounds really fantastic. If you want to do something kind of cool, come in on the 4th, which is the B flat. That's going to make it kind of sound like a little bit of tension. If you want to do something really cool, like Soundgarden, come in on the flat 7, which is the E flat, and just hang on that flat 7. See, all of the notes have this feeling that goes with it. And the thing is, fuck around with it and find something that feels good. When you are playing a minor pentatonic scale, I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say everything sounds good. And that's great, because it does. And you might try and and along with that as well. It's actually a really good exercise to start getting your vocals working. Another great vocal exercise is if you have nephews, nieces, or little brothers and sisters or children, sing at them in the most annoying way possible. And it's a great vocal technique. Alex?
Yeah, if you have an editor, you can also just put every note on the root note and then just put it up or down, whatever feels best.
Yeah.
Like you can try everything out.
Yeah. and just sit there at the piano and go dong with your Fs and plink around. And I highly recommend that you don't have a drum machine, you don't have a beat, you don't have an arpeggiator going. Just go plink, 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 plink. Find that melody. And there's wonderful things between, 7, that'll be E flat, F, A flat, or C, E flat, F. Basically all of them, man. They're all win. Just fuck around with the pentatonic and it'll fall into place. But I think it's also a fun thing to sing along with it. Because even in your mistakes, what note was that? You're going to start training your voice to hit those notes. You're going to start training your ear to hit those notes. And everything then works together because, you use it all together. That's what I think. Anyway, Rainbow Eater asked me, have I ever sampled Shea? Yes. Actually, she's in tracks, but she got in there accidentally. She's in Black Dog Bite quite a lot. There you go. Does anybody else want to throw in on this? Because this is such a great topic, and then it goes into so many places. Or should I just rant? Alex, I'm going to rant about... But Alex, your rant is first.
Yeah, if somebody has an idea how to get into this percussive way of speaking, like in way of static X, or like in maybe in Angelspit terms, Wiener cover or something like this, I would appreciate it, because I feel like I'm losing sort of my girth when I stop singing and try to speak rhythmically. It doesn't have the same impact.
I can answer that if you want. The trick is you hang off a note. Dum da. I think that... Hi, Rose. I actually think Vina Cava, I think it's hanging off the flat 5. I think. It's not just yelling, but it's kind of like yell speaking, where every now and then you're going to say, you're just going to grace that note. By the way, I'm in that key there. Yell, 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 yell. That back to that one there. And I have a thing which is words like bullets. That they have to be on the mark. And the thing about, if there's a sibilance or anything, the actual vowel hits the beat. So you have to be conscious of the vowel hitting the beat. And if there's 2 people involved, one person is the lead track, and you cut the other one to that lead track. And there was a lot of editing whenever I do 2 vocals. Whoever's got the funk fits on that one, falls on that one. So yeah, that's a thought, and I've got a lot of other thoughts, but I want to hear some other thoughts that are going on here. Mez, go.
So I think a big thing when you're less melodic with your vocals is that you just want to fit into the groove. So like the groove of the song, from my perspective, is going to be like between the rhythm and the melody. So it's just going to be like the sort of the percussion of the bass line. So I think you want to follow that with the vocals too, if the vocals are less melodic. So just like keep the groove in mind.
Fantastic, thank you. I'm going to go after you, Rezi, if that's okay. Rezi, what you got?
Yeah, I almost wanted to put my hand down after Mez said that. I mean, finding the groove and closer to... Well, you practice, it almost goes without saying, but we have to remember doing this a lot leads you to having the answer of how to do it. It's a little bit counterintuitive in some ways, but it's the obvious answer in almost every other way. The more that you use your voice to express and find the rhythmic divisions to land on and emphasize, the more you have that vocabulary and chops to pull on and draw on and do new stuff and embrace the fuck ups. And if you're talking specific mechanical production, I think we always name check Chris Lipe on YouTube, because he's kind of he pays attention most to the screaming and distortion production, and he's pretty insightful, and he has some non-technical ways of describing positions of the vocal mechanics that are super helpful and very accessible. Yeah.
Thank you. I also think it's a really cool thing when you're doing vocals to find. Okay, so if your music is going bam, 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 and the faster it goes, the less room you have for groove. The groove starts getting crushed out of it. Bam, bam. So if it's everything's really on the beat like this, the bass and the vocals have got an opportunity to just go va 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 va, can really play around rhythmically with what's going on. Whereas if the music and everything else is kind of going crazy, but really in a lot of this music, it falls under what's called the tyranny of the beat. That's a thing. So usually in music that's tyrannically like this, beat orientated, the vocals have a lot more room to just slide around. Think of your vocals like the snake that brings wisdom, the snake that brings apples, and it's sexy and it's doing this, and I should have called it white cat meow. Come here.
No, you have to go there. You know what she's saying.
No, believe it or not, she's actually come and she's angry. She's walking to me with anger. Look, a fluffy face is angry right now. Do you want to see a fluffy face?
Bring it on.
Oh, she's mad. How dare you? This is the angriest cat in the world.
Aww.
Don't you awe at all.
So angry.
For thousands of years, they have been training us. You know, kings do what the cats say. Queens bow to their omnipotence or something. Razzie, go.
The thing I just wanted to point out is Carl is a person who has spent a lot of time making these vocalizations and is steeped in the specifics of doing it and is able to vocalize on the fly and communicate stuff by just making the noises. That's the kind of practice that happens when you don't sit around ruminating about it. I don't know who would be guilty of doing such a thing, but and actually get to it.
Yeah. Thank you, man. And see, the thing about vocals is that you have an opportunity to fuck with vocals all day long. When you're listening to music, sing along with it, and then sing the hi-hat part, and then sing the bass part. And please listen to funk. Please listen to James Brown. Please listen to Bootsy fucking Collins. Listen to Stevie Wonder. Listen to this immaculate, amazing understanding of rhythm. Listen, we were talking about Indian Raga the other week. Listen to Indian Raga. Listen to how they drum talk. Listen to that stuff. And because music is a language. It really is. And if I was going to learn German, it's going to take me years before I can say a poem in German that sounds romantic. And there are a lot of very romantic German poems, believe me. It's going to take me more years to write a poem in German that achieves whatever I want to do. And then you got to start thinking in German. Because the thing about music is you start thinking in music pretty early on, but it's a language. So in order for you to communicate that language, you have to become quite fluent in it. And there's no rules on the rules that are there and the guidelines and the schooling and all that stuff. It really helps. It's really fantastic. And if you have the opportunity to learn about it because you're going to learn about a whole bunch of stuff. And quite a lot of that stuff you're going to go, nah, I'm not interested. But you've been exposed to it and it's helped you grow. So that's what I think about everything. Everything. Absolutely everything. Go ahead, Benzie, go.
I think what you're sort of saying is that like if you're comparing it to a language, like sure you could go to school to learn German and you'll learn a lot, but like that's nothing compared to like if you have the chance to go to Germany and like actually like go to bars and talk to people in German and mess up and do that. So it's the same thing with vocals. Like you could like take the technical approach and with music and like learn about that, but like just do it. Just listen to music and like get your voice started and like that. This is also me talking to myself. I got to do that more. But yeah.
And also, very quickly before I throw it to Alex, thank you. Diana says immersion is better than learning. Absolutely, yes, totally agree. When you learn a language, they're going to teach you phrases. Because phrases are the building blocks to communication. And then as you become good at it, you start using words. But it's really funny. In Australian, phrases don't work. Mark, what I was talking to you about, the pentatonic scale, that's phrases. But they're phrases that work. So throw yourself into it and play around with it. Alex!
Yeah, I actually made huge progress, I think, in that front. My problem is only, I think I've got it nailed down how to sound powerful if I just sing vocals. So I can muster up like the strength to sing a very powerful A or an O or something, but whenever I try to add like, the more I add like a speech to it, it sort of starts to deteriorate, or I get into an area where I start to hurt and then I stop because you shouldn't carry in that direction. But like I'm sort of tiptoeing the line, and that's like the area where I'm most struggling right now, or where the most I have to make that's like the next step for me.
Can I ask you, and I see Rose, I really want to hear what you got to say, Rose, but just very quickly, are your lyrics in English or German?
Mostly in English, but both.
Okay. I want to, Rezi, I'm going to go in after you. I want to bring this back to language, actual language that you are comfortable with. And everything I'm about on my spiel is like, I will denounce it 30 seconds later, and also confidence. But I will not denounce the thing about confidence. So remind me after, Rezi, I want to talk about confidence. Rose, hit us.
So, yeah, I think this is actually relevant to what Alex just said. It's just something that I think is super important for everybody to remember. And it is this: when you practice, I know sometimes people don't have access to a studio or whatever, go sit in your car, go sit in a friend's car, go someplace where you can be loud, because the voice that you think you have is not your actual voice. The voice that you hear in your head when you're just at this level is not your singing voice. It's not. It's not going to be. So you're going to end up writing parts that you can't sing. So practice them loud.
Thank you. I want to pick on that one as well. Rezi, go. Rose, fucking awesome as usual.
Yeah, Rose, that really hits on it. I mean, it's not practice unless you are doing the thing that you think you're trying to do and evaluating it and changing something or reinforcing things that you think are perfect. But we end up singing quietly and tentatively perhaps, and falling back on the things that we know we can do, and not building the new habits and pathways and coordination to do the things that we're trying to do. And that's where listening to what you've actually done is really important. And I just also, Alex, wanted to add, it is a struggle for most people. That's par for the course. That's acceptable or normal. There's definitely people that jump into this stuff and can have some sort of knack for it and bypass pushing themselves beyond what they're really good at. You hear that from time to time, but work and struggle can certainly be part of it. And I think a lot of us write music that includes personal struggle and work, and having it all of a piece isn't necessarily a surprise.
Thank you. Firstly, when I went to university with the most incredibly talented human beings ever. And it's funny that almost everyone who naturally had an ability for something fell by the wayside, because they did not have to go through the school of hard knocks, as we call it in Australia. I think you call it here that as well. If you don't get humiliated and dragged down and think you're absolute shit and then keep going, you get up and keep going, then music is not for you. It really is not, because it's a fucking, it's a thing that you have to earn. And don't worry, you've got it, because you're always here and you're always trying. You've got it. Secondly, when I was young, somebody said to me jokingly, a lot of people said to me jokingly that I had a bad voice. And they weren't joking, they meant it. And hashtag massive Carlanger. So what I did is I just wish somebody went back and said to me at the age of 20, you're going to hate your voice. Everyone does. It's okay. Get over that. Like, just get over that whole thing. Oh, I hate my voice. Get over it. Oh, my voice sounds so weird, and when I hear it back, I can't. Just get over it. Everyone hates their voice. Everyone. You'll go through phases where you don't hate it so much, but you're going to live with this. I got a cardboard box this big. I might have told you this. I cut a hole in it so I could put my head in it, and I lined it with carpet. And I went into my wardrobe, and for a year I screamed, I sang, because I didn't want anyone hearing my voice. I was so shy to overcome this fucking thing, until I had to do this exercise we had to sing a solo, and it was a solo. Mine was the two trombone players. I can't remember who they are. But the bass guitar lecturer, who was the coolest man in the world, and he terrified me. And I was pissing my pants scared to do this fucking... It was an exam that you had to perform live in front of him and a whole bunch of people who will delight in cutting you to pieces in front of a live band, with a live band who were reading the score, and these guys were motherfuckers. And I was shit scared, and I went, I'm going to fail, I don't care, here we go. And then afterwards, his name was Greg, and he spoke like this. And he was so cool, it was terrifying. And he went... Man, you got a blues voice. You got to use that shit. And I went, what? I actually have a voice that doesn't suck, that's usable? Because, and it was just that one thing that made me go, well, if he says I didn't suck and I passed. If he said I didn't suck, that's all I needed. So let's fucking go. Let's go to war. And I still hate my voice, and it doesn't matter. I was going to say all of this other shit that was amazing, but it's gone now. I'm sorry, did I interrupt you? Rose, the floor is yours.
So, yeah, on that same subject, also, besides practicing it loud, and this is the part you're really going to hate, guys, you're going to record some scratch recordings of yourself singing out loud without any effects, without any fancy. You haven't practiced this song, you know what I mean? It's gonna make you upset. You're gonna listen to it and you're gonna be like, fuck, you know what I mean? Like, I'm absolutely shameless, guys, shameless, but I still get a little nervous when I'm trying to write something and I don't have it yet, because I'm a perfectionist. So I want it to be good, you know, and all of us want to sound good, like right out of the fucking box, you know? And that's not really how it works. And like Carl said, you know, this same thing happens in circus too. There are people, you know, that would come in to some of my classes and they just immediately like had the body awareness. They were dancers before. They had other training and stuff. So they just took to it. But a lot of them never stuck with it. They didn't stick with it, even though they were good at it, because they just got distracted by some other stuff. You know what I mean? Because it came so easily that it was just one of many options for them. So make this your primary option. You know what I mean? Like, that's really what makes the difference between a musician and just a person that enjoys music. You know, it's that ruthless determination. And there is nothing like it. So you must, and you will hate it, you must scratch record your voice, you know, with a shitty recorder. You know, you can use your phone. You could use one of those little Zoom recorder thingies. Those are pretty great. with the little directional mics on them and stuff, whatever you're going to use, but it's going to really hurt your feelings. And just accept the fact that everybody sounds like that when they're working on songs. It's okay. Like, that's just how it's going to sound when you're working. It's not wrong. And about James Brown actually, what's really one of the many things that's very interesting about him, because he has so many wild stories attached to his name, is that a lot of the sounds that he made on stage were like, wow, he had a lot of exclamatory, explosive little things that he would say, like it's not even really a word, it's just a sound. But those were actually cues as to the choreography that he was going to be doing. Like, when I do this, I'm going to do a split. He had his own private language with his band, and they all knew it. So they knew, okay, I'm going to back up to the side because he's about to drop into a split. You know what I mean? Oh, I'm going to go over here because he's going to come over to this side. So he actually used that as a secret way to direct everybody around him. And that's fucking genius.
Yeah. Thank you. Razzie.
Somewhere in that, I forgot what I was going to say, but in my experience, it's like 15 hours of this is crap just to get to the, what ends up on the tape is 3 seconds of, hey, now I sound okay. And I opposite of what Rose just said, I always record with mic placement in the booth, EQ, verb, compression, the whole thing, just so it has some fighting chance of sounding like a record while I'm listening to the tracks. It's just a slightly different approach.
Cool. Thank you both. Kung Fu, man, it's a martial art. And the thing about a martial art, like language, is you got to keep fucking doing it. And you can't, you can't go, I'm going to go to a fucking rehearsal dojo and I'm going to do a roundhouse when you sit on your bum all day watching Jackie Chan. You can't do it. It's the same thing with your vocals. Your voice is a muscle. I'm sorry, did I wake you? An itty bitty tiny muscle. And you've got to work that muscle so it can become able and black belt motherfucker. Also, it's interesting that, we're talking about different processes. I also, when I record with nothing. Because my theory is that if it sounds good totally raw, once I beef it up, it's going to sound killer. And I have that with everything, music, the whole lot. I had something else incredibly profound to say. I am Jesus Christ. Alex? Oh, I wanted to talk to you about your choice of words. So you go and then throw it back to me and I'll talk to you about choice of words.
I just wanted to say, I think dry can be very brutal. Like, there are rooms where I feel far less confident than others just because the room is totally dry. And I sort of feel lost if I don't hear myself. Maybe if you're monitoring yourself, it isn't that much of a problem, but if I'm like in a very dry room, like this one is one of the worst ones. There's only one I hate more. But I think like if the room is very dry, I get less confident because I feel lost because I can't sense myself and I feel like I'm going the wrong way.
Sure. That's your friend when you're doing vocals because you're gonna rub up real quick. Your choice of words, Alex, is really important. Get a thesaurus, get a rhyming dictionary. And, if the rhyme is lame, it's hard to sing it with gusto. I think so personally. You got to figure that one out, that there's words that are like, they're spitting words of war. And when the song is demanding a blade, make sure the actual words are a blade, not just the delivery. That they are words that are spitting at you and they're words. And German's fantastic for that. There's some really good words in German. And just so choose it. And if you're not confident in English, bounce between the two. That's cool. Half German, bit of English, bit of German.
I don't think language is the problem for me. I think like if I can speak the language, I can sing in it. It's more a delivery thing.
All right. Do you feel it's the choice of words, what you're saying, or is it just the actual confidence to go and to declare war?
It's more like I feel sometimes I have like something in my head, but I can't put it into sound waves.
Okay.
Like I feel I should be singing this in this way and evoke this feeling, but I sort of can't. Like maybe sometimes it's raspiness, sometimes it's like I don't get the quite a feeling, and sometimes it's frustrating because in other song I can. So why can't I in this song? Like if I sing certain David Bowie songs for myself, I can get this raspiness, but not for my own songs, and I don't know why. Maybe it's because I'm not in the source, not so emotionally in it. Maybe because I'm insecure, but that's something I struggle with because like it feels so obscure. I can sing it in that song, but not in that song. What's the deal?
Purpose. It sounds like there's a purpose missing, and I'm the same way, man. If I'm doing a track with someone else, I don't want to let them down. And it's difficult because increasingly, well, the good thing about where we're at now is that there's a lot more mixing of hey man, let's do a track together. Also change the way you do things, like get a 58, a shitty handheld mic on a cable, and do never record sitting down on your chair. Never. If you want to do that, stick the microphone under your chair, stick your head between your knees and do that. But you got to be careful because you might actually hurt yourself. So if it's a quiet part, do that. Actually get up, jump around, throw yourself around. Some people need to take the edge off a little bit. Some people don't. So, you choose, some people will get a glass of water and put a shot of whiskey in it. Other people just want to go in there with a straight mindset. Yes, I'm telling my wife I have the cat. Want to go in there with a straight mindset and just deliver. It's all what you're confident with. But make sure you've got a lolly that you like. That's a very Australian word, a lolly. So a throat thingy. And make sure it's sugar and not the fake sugar, because fake sugar dries you out. And just keep washing your teeth, because sugar is really bad for you. Even if it has no sugar at all. And it's just pure chemicals, even better. But you got to keep the liquids running. Razzie.
I use the Walgreens or CVS honey and eucalyptus or menthol ones. That's my go-to. Alex, it sounds like you're on the right path and it is going to land for you. But maybe this is a question. Do you have a way to solidly capture this elusive thing that you're trying to do? Do you start with a solid idea of where you want to go?
Decisively, no. I don't know what I want. That's the problem. I'm trying to figure it out.
Good.
And it's really hard.
Yeah.
And that's why covers are easier than finding my own voice, because then I know how it could sound.
I know exactly what you mean. I think that an exercise might be take it or leave it. Have something close to what you feel you can't do as a goal. Start out with a few, maybe 3 or 4 covers or originals or parts that you do have a solid, this one's got to be aggressive and rhythmic, this one's got to be growly, and these are like etudes. You're going to compose or perform a specific technical feat that you maybe haven't done yet, and that's the practice. And then the concept being, you want to have, if you're trying to go for 100, you need 110 available, or 150, whatever. You need some capabilities in reserve, so that when you dial it back to something that is authentic to the mood and the goal, you're shooting for the moon and landing on whatever suborbital plane you wanted to be on to torture the metaphor. But I think you can go far with that, and it might be fun.
Excellent. Can I also say where you are right now? Quite a few people here are there or have been there. What is my sound? Who am I? And I just threw the link to this Zoom meeting in on the Twitch. So if you want to jump in, Megamorph and I saw someone else in there. DJ Discovery Rate, you're welcome to jump on in. Yeah, but remember, you're at a great place because you don't know what the fuck you're doing. So there's a freshness there. Here is another suggestion. Is there a vocalist or a computer game character or someone who visually represents what you want? Rhetorical question. Get that person, being, thing, print it out, stick it on the wall right in front of your microphone. And become that person. Give that person a voice, your voice, the way you see it. Because it's so funny. We're trying to communicate, how do I sound my music like this? There's no answer to that because this is all weird cosmic shit. So my suggestion is do it as visually as you can. Find someone or something that looks like the motherfucker who you want to be. I throw this to you, Alex.
Yeah, I don't know how interesting this is for you, but for me, it's like the two people are not people in themselves, but how they are in the song. And that's Keith Flint in Aim for his project Flint, which never really took off. And also Iggy Pop in Search and Destroy. That's like the feeling I want to get. It's like really aggressive, really powerful, but also like a bit, I don't know, sharp.
Yeah.
Like a scalpel, like
attack. Get a picture of Iggy. Make an Iggy shrine. Everybody needs an Iggy shrine. That's my new song. Everybody needs an Iggy shrine. Let's have it next to the Bowie shrine. Everybody needs an Iggy shrine. I think that it's very awesome. Have a photo of Iggy. Put it in a frame. I'm serious. And sit it there. Make him your patron saint of rock. Is there a better patron saint except Rollins and Rollins? Just remember where you are right now. Devo were there for their first 3 albums, and they made the best shit. So put up that image of bloody Iggy and Mr. Flint side by side. Put jewels and pearls and crosses around them. Like seriously, and candles. Make it a shrine, and eyeball them. Like figure out whatever the thing is that they were reaching for, reach for it too. Don't reach for them, reach for what they were reaching for.
I think that's terrific. I have a mascot for a lot of songs, like individually. When there's a character that I'm trying to remember to include in the narrative, and usually it's a historical photo of some sort. It's fantastic. Alex, you're on the way. You have these ideas solid and you know what your goals are. And there's some mechanical stuff to getting grit. And there's some, everybody's said this already, I'm just repeating, freedom and mindset. And Alex, you said it yourself about the sound of the room, inspiring you to be able to do these things and just really driving through all of that so that you are beyond the influence of the room a little bit because of your confidence and abilities technically to place the vocal mechanics to create those distortions. That's all solved stuff. There are, paths to doing it about which false folds to bring together with which muscles and how much air pressure to do. It's not as nearly as inspirational to think of it that way for a lot of people. But when you hit it and you can do it consistently, super, then you've got it. And it's like move on to the next thing. You've got that one. These are skills.
Alex, go.
Yeah, thank you. As I said, I feel like I'm on the right path. It's just sometimes that's what I currently struggle with. It's also great to feel myself that I'm there because often I don't. And when I hear myself, it's like, yeah, I exist. I can do something. I feel like an agent for once. And also, yes, it's weird because it's not Iggy Pop as a person, but somehow the voice in the song that's inspiring to me. Like Iggy Pop is an awesome person, no doubt, but it's like the ghost of the song itself that transcends the person. I don't know. Maybe it's enough for this topic.
No, it's good. This is a topic we could keep going on about. Rose, I'm gonna jump in really quickly because I'm really looking forward to what you have to say. Do scales every day, whether you sing or not. Do scales because it's helping your voice. Ba da 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 da. Half of them were flat. I don't care. Ba ba da 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 ba da 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 da. Do all the scales, and eventually you'll actually become really good at it. These are fucking exercises for your kung fu dojo throat. Do it. There's a dojo in my throat. I thought it was a frog, but it's a dojo. Thank you. So do all this stuff, and also the ha 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 ha. Go onto YouTube and look at vocal exercises and do these things, because the thing about Iggy Pop is he's Yoda with vocals. The guy is friggin' Yoda. He's been doing this his whole life. He has shouted so hard his vocals fell out onto the floor and he had to pick them up and stick them back in his mouth. And he's done it all, and it's just you got to start working on your kung fu. You got to work on your kung fu. Dave Gahan still sings scales for an hour every day, and my God, Rose.
So since it's the video, I mean the song instead of the actual just take a still from the video, from a live performance, from like whatever peak moment that you feel embodies the spirit of that song, and just use that, because it'll remind you like it's time to rock the fuck out now. You know what I mean? Like, and what Carl was saying is absolutely correct. You have to, if you don't have a warm up that you do before you're singing, that's why you're hurting your voice. And take it seriously, because you really can damage your vocal cords. You can get polyps and have to have surgery. Take it very seriously. I know everybody thinks of music as just like, it's music, it's entertainment. No, there's a craft to it. And there's certain things that you cannot just, skip past. You know what I mean? Like, you have to fucking do them. And like Carl said, do the scales, there's tons and tons of free, vocal warm-ups on YouTube of every style of music that you could possibly think of. So you're gonna find one that you actually enjoy. You know what I mean? Like, whoever really connects with you, whoever like their words make sense to you, do that. You know what I mean? But do it. You must do it.
I stand by Jedi Master Rose, and I also say, 1, warm up, do the scales, ba da 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 da, then ha 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 ha. You're gonna do all that shit for 5, 10, 15 minutes. Then you're going to say longer. Then, and also when you do a vocal take, do it later in the day because your voice has had time to warm up. Also have the song you sing to warm up, that when you hit that song, you're ready to go. And my song is Sledgehammer by Peter Gabriel. There you go. Before every gig, Sledgehammer. Because it's got the funk. So does Kiss That Frog. Kiss That Frog, incidentally, is possibly the most funky song ever written. By Peter. Yes, it is. He employed the funkiest human beings in the world. You listen to that bass line in Kiss That Frog? It's madness. It's so good. Maz, go.
I think it was me, but I retracted it.
What did you do?
I put my hand down. I wanted to say, yeah, of course, I try to do vocal warm-ups. Sometimes do them too little, but I try to do them at least once, or like at least have some songs that are easy to sing, so I get into it. If I not do scales, which I try to do. But
what's your song?
My song is one jazz song. It's called "On Cold Winter Morning." It was 7 below. I don't know. It's a jazz song, and the other one is "Walking on the Moon" by The Police.
Great choice. Great choice. Great range. Great choice.
Not everything, but just parts of it.
Yeah. Try and sing the whole thing, because it's about breathing as well. And Sting has got the greatest. His range is insane. The man can sing. I'm going to throw this. Maz, your hand was up next, and it got thrown, I think.
No, I think Raz is next.
Okay, Raz, you're next.
I downloaded a bunch of karaoke MIDI backing tracks to sing against about 10 years ago, and I've been using them ever since. Occasionally I just do a search on YouTube for some other bootlegged. I mean, there's some great stuff. There's some sound-alikes and some crummy ones, but I just find a few things in my range, and I've been using those, running through them as far as getting the time up, because scales are so boring and, blah,
Yes.
blah, but
I may have mentioned this in the past. Thank you. I'm going to throw you this in a minute. But the prerequisite, Rose, you'll be happy, for joining Angelspit was Hot for Teacher. That if you can't play your part in Hot for Teacher, you're not in. And I remember, my God, I had some great Chris. Did you ever meet Chris Kling, Rose? He played with Hansel and Gretel, and he's a beast. That guy's a maniac. And and Valerie, I remember Valerie killed the guitar. She was great. It was great. And hitting that. And actually, fucking Van Halen, man. Van Halen. Like, listen to what, we were talking about vocals before. Listen to what David Lee Roth does. He is terrifyingly good. And he's a clown, then he laughs it off. But when you look at what he's singing, and you look at the inflections, and he flicks into the notes, and then he flicks out of the notes, and you listen to what what the Van Halen boys are playing, like where they don't put their accent on the 1, they put it on the 16th before it, and it keeps you on your toes the whole time. It's Van Halen are so insanely good. Mez, the floor is yours.
Okay, so I think it's a very good idea to, if you're able to, get a vocal teacher, even if you can only work with them for a few lessons. It's totally, you learn so much from actually like having someone working with you one-on-one. There's so much to singing. There's like the placement of your voice. There's like the breath control, like. I worked with a teacher for a while to do a song by Aesthetic Perfection, and like singing is so fun. So that's like my go-to song, and it's also good to like find a YouTube vocal coach that does warm-ups that you like how they do their warm-ups. So at any time, like ideally at least once a week, you like go and like do the warm-ups, follow along with the warm-ups, and that'll keep your voice strong. And there's a podcast that I like called Strong Songs, and he had a very Eric Vitro is the guest that he had on. That's a coach of like Ariana Grande and Shawn Mendes and a bunch of like high profile singers, and that was a really good discussion. Daniel Graves has an amazing voice. I don't know. He's like a master. But yeah, this podcast interview with Eric Vitro, and then Eric Vitro had his own podcast where he was talking with a bunch of his students. This ties into, there's actually a question on the Twitch. Someone's Megamorph is asking, how much in advance to a gig do you do the warm-ups? And I know Eric Vitra was talking about how a lot of his students, he'll like warm up with them while they're on tour, like overseas or whatever, and he'll like do like a FaceTime meeting where he's going through the warm-ups. And then they were also talking about the fact that like when Ariana is on tour, and especially if she was talking about like actually being able to sing while she's sick, and like not having to cancel a tour because she's sick, and she was saying that like she wakes up, goes to brush her teeth, and like from that moment like warms up her voice and is seeing like, okay, which sounds are feeling okay, and then from that point, like literally the moment you wake up until the point of the show, it's a gradual process of like feeling out your voice. And then I think you would do the warm-ups like as you're getting ready to get on that stage, like within half an hour of getting up on there. Yeah, very important to like keep that muscle healthy.
Can I throw in really quickly, and this will be going to be 30 seconds before we throw to Rose. I warm up pre-sound check, because if you're going to blow your voice, it's in sound check. And if you blow your voice in sound check, your voice is blown for the gig. Sound check, and then before I go on, Sledgehammer a few times. And maybe even Yankee Rose, because that's a hell of a song too. Speaking of Rose.
Yeah, so thinking about like Iggy Pop and David Lee Roth and stuff, there's something that they both have in common. They are fucking jacked, okay? And because David Lee Roth was a martial artist, that's why he was able to do all those high kicks and those jump splits and all that kind of stuff.
In spandex.
In spandex. So it is very important to do cardio if you want to do vocals, because it wasn't until I started consistently working out, it just, aside from like all the vocal exercises and everything else, I didn't really tap into like my scream and my stamina until I got more physically fit, to be honest, and I got more cardio going on. And as a front person, you're going to be moving around, you know what I mean? You're going to, if you want to move around on stage and stuff like that and make it an entertaining show, then you have to practice doing that when you're doing your rehearsals. You have to move, and you have to see, hey, do I have enough air to actually move this much? Because you're going to have so much adrenaline at the show that you'll rock out even more than you rock out in your rehearsal. So you must at least at the minimum rock out. You know what I mean? Like that's the very minimum rock out level, and you have to have like at least that baseline, or otherwise you're just going to end up, running out of air at the show, and you're going to end up sucking like after the first song. You're going to just blow your load on the first song and then it's over, and you don't want that to happen to you. One thing that was cool about the Zen of Screaming when I bought that is that it came with the DVD, and it also came with a CD. I know, outdated right now, but so the CD was so that people that were on tour could pop that CD into their car, and they could just like rehearse, you know what I mean, or into their CD player or whatever, and they would have like their vocal instruction right there, so they wouldn't need to actually have a DVD player and all that extra shit, and you could actually see like all these like freaking monsters of metal practicing in their cars to her freaking vocal exercises like right before. And the funniest one, and this is the one that everybody always like laughs at me for, but it's always really fun, is at the very end, you do the after you've been trained your voice, after you did all your warming up and everything's copacetic, right? The last exercise that she has is you're doing jumping jacks and you're saying the alphabet, but with your growl, like with whatever your scream voice is. So that's how everybody knows that they can, now you can talk to me, because they'll hear me doing the alphabet. They'll be like, okay, she's almost wrapped up. All right, it's time. They're like, it's time. She's going to be ready. She's going to be coming out here in 2 minutes. And it's really funny, but it actually really works. And it actually gets you, used to the idea of like, I'm not only am I putting out energy this way, I'm putting out energy this way, and it prepares you for that. And you have to be prepared. The more prepared you are, the better off you'll be when it actually comes down to it, down to the brass tacks, because you want it to just be like in your freaking head. Just drill it in there, drill it so that even if you panic and you get scared, you know what I mean? Or, maybe you get heckled, or maybe, the crowd isn't reacting the way you want or giving you the energy that you want, you start to feel a little unsure of yourself. You know what I mean? You need that muscle memory in your body and in your voice so that no matter what, you can keep going. And if you fuck up, don't make a big deal about it, because they probably didn't even hear it. They didn't even know, because they don't know the song. They don't know your band. You know what I mean? Like, just keep going. As long as you don't make a big deal out of it, they won't make a big deal out. That's the bottom line. So you must remember that. Don't like be like, oh, we got to start the song over, guys. Oh, don't panic. Just collect yourself and sing the next line. And if you have practiced your ass off the way you should have, you already know what the next line is. It might take a second for you to like come back, but you'll know what to do. Just trust yourself. And the only way you can trust yourself is if you practice.
Thank you. And if you forget the lyrics, give the microphone to the audience, or pretend that something's wrong with the cable. I've done that. Actually, just really quickly, I saw a band called Does It Offend You? Yeah? They're from Manchester, and you need to check them out. And there's a song where they have to sing it really nicely, but because they're from Manchester, they get shamelessly drunk. So it's a great show. And they sang this song where they sing really politely, really nicely, but the beats are nuts. He couldn't do it because he was so drunk. So they just put the intro on a loop. He went into the audience. He just pulled these girls out. He put the microphone in front of them and they sang it. And he just stage dived. It was great. Try that. Alex?
I just want to agree with Rose. I feel like my vocals are much better if I do jogging in the morning before I sing. Or if I can't do that, I just do maybe some push-ups or something, or like run around. It really helps me. And also I remembered a hack if you don't like singing scales is if you have the control over like music, I put something like which has like much harmony in the background and no vocals. And for me that's like the more ambient FX trim tracks, and I just improvise to that, like sing scales within the harmony of the track. That's much more fun than just dry scales.
Awesome, man. Thank you. Miss!
Hello. So, two things. One is that, so from the spirituality perspective, the third chakra from the top is your throat chakra, and that's all about communication. It's all about like using your voice, and that's why people in certain cultures and spiritual practices chant during meditation, is because it activates your voice chakra. I do chanting during my meditations, and yeah, it activates the voice chakra, and there's actual evidence that like the resonance that happens in that part of your face and that part of your body is actually like healing for your sinuses and all that. So it's like physically healthy to actually like use your voice and have that reverberation. So yeah, that's a thing that everyone can benefit from, is using their voice more and mindfully. And then the second thing I wanted to touch on is that in acting classes, there are warm-ups that we did before each class. One of them is your spine roll, where you like start from a standing position and then like just bring your entire spine down. I'm doing it quickly, obviously, but you want to do it slowly, and then same thing all the way up. So that's a really good one to warm up with. And then the vocal one that we did in acting classes is it was invented by the Three Stooges, and it's where you swing your vowels, which is you take every letter in the alphabet, every consonant in the alphabet, and attach the vowels to it. So it starts A, B, Bi, Bo, Boo, K, Ki, Kai, Ko, Ku, etc., all through the alphabet. And that way you will try out every single sound that you can phonetically make in the English language. That's my favorite like warm up to get my voice going. When I want to actually like get into it. So yeah, like Alex was saying that like if you don't really want to do scales, you can like work with find the thing that you like that gets your voice going, that works for you, but also like warms you up and like gradually gets you into it. Everyone should have like something that gets them into it.
That's brilliant. Thank you. Rezi, I want to. There's some things here I want to check up on, but firstly, it's Dr. Rezi. Rezi, you're muted.
I don't have anything interesting to add, so just keep it quiet. I hope we can always come back to the discussion of where your resonances are, whether it's for spiritual or purely voice production goals. There's a lot of a combination between some pretty large muscles in voice production and the really small ones in the face and neck. And this ties into, people have mentioned a bunch of voice coaches that for whatever reason I never clicked with, and that was another thing I think that Mez mentioned, finding one that you do click with. I went through a lot of Ken Tamplin and Mark Baxter and the Zen of Screaming, and I never found the sentence that said, and this is how you put your head to make these muscles engage to cause this sound. Whereas for whatever reason, the Chris Lippe ones did. He uses some non-technical language to just put your muscles into the right positions to make these distortions and compressions and stuff, and it worked for me. And that coordination of the kind of large muscles and the kind of small muscles is one of those things that I was never really able to think through, but the metaphors for how to put your body really connected with me. And resonances here in the sinuses and resonances, you know, here in the mouth and in the chest are interesting and are the fundamental of why you sound the way you do, of course, but I've never found them easy to address directly. It's always been sort of a circumspect way of getting at them.
Awesome, man. Rose.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Raz. That was, I've tried a lot of different ones, you know, to, you know, discover and to hone my scream. And,
give me the secrets.
Yeah, and Chris Lippe, honestly, he's really great. Like you said, for me, I connected with the way that he describes, you know, where the parts are in your mouth and where, you know, to shape the actual sound, which is something that, like you said, I hadn't really had that happen in any other course. You know, they were like, here's exercises, but he kind of really goes more into it in a way that's very colloquial and it's very easy for you to, you know, he'll use like examples like, oh, you know, this is your Mickey voice. You know what I mean? This is your Goofy voice, you know? And it's like, it's to explain like, okay, if you want that higher pitched scream, here's where it comes from. If you want the low growly scream, here's where it comes from. Here's a bunch of exercises for you to find that. Here's a bunch of drones in different keys and explore how you get to those in the different parts of your mouth, doing the different sounds. It just makes sense for me. It just made it click so much more. And, you know, I definitely, I've taken lessons and I've done a lot of other stuff for anybody that's looking for, vocal lessons, if you have a vocal coach, is the best. But for aggressive vocals, if you can't afford to continually, you know, do lessons and stuff like that, I think that's the most comprehensive program that I've found that really breaks stuff down in a way that makes sense to anybody, no matter what level of musical knowledge you have. And I think it's important, you know, because I've met a lot of people, you know, throughout my career as a musician that fuck their voices up. And it's really tragic, you know what I mean? And it often happens to bands when they first get on a tour because they're so excited, you know, they've never done any kind of vocal training, you know, and they don't even know how to, like, you know, do scales, let alone anything else. They're, you know, because it's like they're doing hardcore or metal or punk. You know what I mean? So they don't come from that world of, musical lessons and things like that. They're just like, I'm just going to do it, which is great, but also you can hurt yourself. So be careful.
Yes, thank you. And they also drink too much and party too much, and they wonder why they're crap the next day, and they push hard and they hurt themselves so often. Thank you, Rose. Alex.
Yeah, that's something I had also a problem with, because my singing teacher is really good, but she only does like classical stuff and chanson. And I had to find the rocky, metally, cyberpunky parts myself, like the more harsh, the more aggressive. She could tell me how to do it like very operatically, but again, like it's something I struggle with, because she can't really explain it to me, because she has no experience in that regard. I think she has given me a really solid basis, but that's why I need to struggle and find out. And I have to agree, Chris Leapy is very good, but somehow I never follow through. Maybe I need to commit some more time to his videos and actually vocalize along.
Awesome. Rose again.
Yeah, it's very vocally dense. It is important for anybody that's doing whatever style of music you're doing. You must find a coach that does that kind of music. You know what I mean? You can go on YouTube. A lot of people do like online lessons now and stuff like that. It doesn't matter where you find them, but you must look for them. The first time that I was doing vocal lessons, I actually was like, okay, what's the hardest kind of singing that I can think of? So I did opera lessons for a while because I was like, well, what's the type of singing that requires like a lot of air? You know what I mean? Because opera singers don't use mics most of the time. It's just they use their chest like a bellows to fucking push air out, and it's insane. My opera singer friends just blow me away. Like I can't even tell you what that experience is like when you hear somebody that's got that talent, because it's just like they're like, I don't need a mic, boom, and you're like, shit, you don't need a mic, fuck, you know what I mean? Like it's like, wow, how do I do that? So that's what I did. But then eventually I did start looking for people because I was like, this is great, but she didn't know, again, like your teacher, she didn't know how to do a metal scream. She gave me a lot of exercises to expand my breath capacity, which is super important for screaming. But like she just tried to do everything that she could to give me the tools that she knew how to use, and that was great, and it was really helpful. But if you want to do aggressive stuff, you have to find a coach that it specializes in aggressive music. Bottom line, you gotta, or you'll tear apart your voice, and it'll be bad. And I don't want that to happen to any of you, because I like you guys.
Good job. Thank you. Maz!
We're so like, yeah, it really, like, if it's not quite working for you, you gotta have feedback from a human. Like every teacher will have a different way of doing things, and every teacher will have some insight that you wouldn't have if you didn't actually go to them. and also like feedback from other people that do similar things, different things. It's all like tools for you to like get into your tool belt. Yeah, and then I thought it was Rose mentioned the thing about like the different voices, like Mickey voice, Goofy voice, and like that reminded me of like in Commedia dell'arte, like which is related to clown, like in any clown class you'll learn about the different ways to like move your body to like get into that character, and that's sort of related to that. It's all about like, oh, this character is very proud, so they puff out their chest, or like this character is a little old person, so they're like this, and that is similar to vocal placement. There's different placements of your voice. to get different vibes and to like sort of impersonate a different psyche, kind of. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. This is such an excellent topic. We touched ever so slightly on the spirituality of things. We were talking about that last week. Sorry, Shaya. Last week. And, you know, if anybody else wants to throw in, let's keep throwing in, or change the subject, or talk about spiritual stuff. Let's go.
I was already sort of talking about the whole thing of like different psyches or different characteristics, and I feel like it's a really interesting tool as an artist to tap into that. Like I believe that there's there's a book I've been reading, Sacred Contracts, and it's all about it talks a lot about the different archetypes, and there's like these main different archetypes, and like each person, it says that like each person should do some exploring to figure out like the 3 ones that they are the most in tune with, and like I think for me there's like a clown, magician, entertainer one, and like a motherly one, and then like there's a child one, like there's different child ones because everyone has like an internal child, so I think like the wounded child is the closest one for me. So like yeah, it's really interesting to see how different archetypes fit into the person that you are and the artist that you are, because that's sort of like characteristics that you can use, because it's like I find it comforting to know that like yeah, your like your experience on this earth is like, it's unique to you, you're your own person, no one else is you, but like there's these threads that have followed us through like thousands of years as humans, and like at the same time you're not alone because we're all connected in many different ways. So yeah, that's my input on that.
That's great. Anyway, share. Like the objective is here. We're going to find inspiring things to make us do evil art this weekend and this week and this life. Alex.
Yeah, I'm a very agnostic person, but I think there are some things that sort of resonate with me, and as I said, like it's like sometimes the spirit of a song that's like haunting me, or like I don't know. I try to connect with these sort of energies. Sorry if I'm rambling, but I felt I had more of a point there.
That's really interesting when you talk about the spirit in a song and how you put it there. Like, I saw this wonderful thing about how a sound designer on a horror movie tried to put sonically put a demon in every single shot, to put a demon in the room with you. And even if that was a creaking on the floor for no reason, or a paper rustling, or the sound of wind, or something, I found that the most lovely, wonderful, inspiring thing. The whole idea of embedding music with something evil, something dark, or you could do it something lovely like puppies and flowers, but I'm not a puppies and flowers kind of guy. Or the cat meowing at me demanding attention and food, which I seem to do a lot. Alex.
Maybe a joke, or maybe not. I'm going to backmask positive affirmative messages in my song, like, you can do it, we appreciate you, don't give up.
Buy this album. Tell your friends to buy this album. No, do it. I'm all about that weird shit. I'm all about weird shit. Rose.
So I'm not a super spiritual person. I am at a certain level, but I've always been exploring like what makes sense to me, you know. But I know that the rehearsal studio and the stage is my church. It's it's where I feel the most like myself. And that's why, it's like, if you have a friend that can rock out with you sometimes, even if you're not going to be seriously rocking out with them to make a project, just do it, because the energy between people is something very special. When you create something with somebody else, you're like giving birth to something new in the world. You know what I mean? And that's a powerful thing. And it's something that there's no substitute for, in my opinion. There's a new show out right now that you can check out on YouTube. It's called No Covers, and it's a show where they have Alice Cooper as one of the judges, actually, and Lizzie Hale from Hailstorm, and some other folks who are all very talented as well. But basically, the whole idea is that they're not doing any cover songs. They're only doing original songs, and they're all rock bands, and it's very interesting because I actually submitted for it, and they had like different payment tiers or whatever. So they were like, oh, if you pay this much, not only will you submit, but the head of Sumerian Records will listen to your songs and tell you what they think about it, and destroy all of your self-esteem. But it was really interesting. And then when I saw the show, I realized, I was like, okay, despite the fact that they made it sound like they were going for something very, very real, I did find that, the people that they chose to have on there are very like polished and very, you know what I mean? Like, I was just like, well, you guys said that you wanted this, and you have freaking Alice Cooper of all people here. And, none of you are at that level. None of you have any, to me, in my mind, only like one band had any kind of really powerful authenticity, that really moved me. And they were a band that combined bluegrass with metal. And it was crazy. I was like, what the? They were all so talented and their energy was so wild. The singer had bare feet, you know what I mean? Which I don't recommend. I was like worried for his feet the entire time. I was like, please don't stub your toe and lose a nail on all of those cables and, really hard metal guitar pedals on the floor. But they freaking owned it. It was nuts. It was nuts. These guys were like super tight as musicians, and it was such an unusual combination, and it actually really fucking worked. And I was like, what? And I don't even like that style of music at all. But they caught me, But anyway, yeah. I think that the combination of combining forces and performing together, that's my spiritual moment. That's the moment where I feel, and that's why, like, when I do acrobatics and stuff, I'm most interested in partner acrobatics, because I just like that connection with somebody else. I like that trust. You're trusting that person to play the shit that they're supposed to play at the right time, so that all of you can fucking produce the song that you love, that you poured all of this energy into. You know what I mean? There's a really big level of trust when it comes to playing with people, and it's something really special and something really magical, and that's where I find my spirituality, I guess.
Awesomeness, thank you. If anybody else wants to jump in here, or I'm going to change the subject, but it's kind of the same subject. I'm building a new instrument, and tell me to shut up. Alex, did you want to take over and talk more about that? How about you go, and then I'll send things off in a new direction. But okay, it's the same direction.
I even have a question, but...
yeah, sure.
First of all, yeah, I think like maybe I need to remember that music is something spiritual to me when I make music, because I somehow forget it when I'm like in the progress. Maybe I need to remember that. Maybe I need to have, like, as you said, a little shrine with maybe a real Pinterest board or something. Anyway, my question is, I'm working on a remix, and I feel like I like what I've done, but I don't know how the structure should be. And the first question is, how long should an ideal dance remix be? And the other is, do I need lead in? And should the lead in be like more rhythmic or more harmonic? What would be good for a remix?
I personally think an ideal remix is 3 to 4 minutes long. I think that sure, a lead-in is a good idea. A beat remix so they can mix you in. And it's got to be a simple thing, not too syncopated. But a lot of this stuff these days, they're using computers so they can just slot shit together. I think that a really good remix does not reflect the structure of the original, personally. I think it will go, I'm going to have some cool thing that goes for the first 32 bars or something, and then it's going to go into a chorus, but the chorus is really hurting. It's wrecked. It's been charged up. Then it might go back into a space thing where there's elements of vocals and stuff being dropped in there. Goes back into a chorus or something resembling the chorus. And then it might go to verse 3. Or verse 1. Then it goes back into the chorus and it goes out. That's what I think a good remix is, or something resembling that. Because the amount of times that people just take the whole vocal tracks and slap it onto a different beat, and it's like, to me, that is incredibly boring, because usually people are going to be releasing a remix album and there's going to be a bunch of tracks on them, and if they all do that, what's the point? Yes. And then I do want to talk about spirituality a little bit, is that remember that, Moog is so popular because the ethos of Bob Moog was to create an electronic instrument where musicians could talk to each other with it in the language of music, and then they could together communicate to an audience. So music's all about this language. It's all about that communication. Remember that you can communicate emotions, thoughts, ideas, colors, images with music more so than any other language that we can grasp in our realm of existence. Yeah. Rez, are you in Canada?
No.
Have you ever been to Canada?
Yeah, a few times. Should I be aware of something?
No, it's just your pronunciation earlier was kind of Canadian or Canadarian.
Huh. I'll look into that.
No, it's good. It's good. I like Canadian pronunciation.
I have some very, very close Toronto friends.
Maz is in Canada.
Nice.
Yeah, no, it's
You
good.
mean
It's just,
Toronto? Toronto, not Toronto.
I thought I caught myself. Did I not go far enough?
Toronto.
Toronto.
All right.
I'll work on it.
Thank you. Love and Distortion. Back to you, Raz.
I'm kind of a sucker for a remix that's like 3 minutes, a build, sick drop, and then a big chorus once in a while. I can think of a few examples. Mindstream. There's a Ferry Corsten one of U2 or something. I don't have them close at hand, but it's at least a different approach of dismantling the song. And then I also wanted to mention, this is from last week. I went and got of course it contains Evil with the black sand, and I got a chalk pen to write my task on it so I can flip it and get the next task, and it'll remind me what I'm supposed to be doing. So this was a success. I've used it like 4 or 5 times now.
Excellent.
Thank you for the suggestion.
Did anybody try the 20-minute rule, by the way?
I'm all over it.
Yeah, I've been trying it, and it's like, this is a great idea. I love it. I'm sorry, I cut you off. Keep going.
That was it.
Excellent, thank you. Alex, 20 minutes.
Yeah, maybe additional info. I've been doing like an industrial techno thing, but I've never done it before. And the other things that inspired that are usually just the same thing over and over with slightly different, with some elements changed. But I feel if I do that, it gets too boring. I need something to break it up, and that's why I sort of struggling. I thought maybe of tracing something like Underworld or something like that, but all these things are like 7-inch records, which are like much longer than I think would be ideal length. So that's where I'm coming from.
Can I make a suggestion? Cut up a vocal phrase and make it that it's only 1 bar long. So that's 4 beats, but you play it every 13 beats or every 7 beats. So it starts falling over each other. Remixes are a wonderful place to play with rhythms and polyrhythms and weird sounds and shit like that. Because when they're on a dance floor, quite often people just want to zone out and do weird stuff. So play around with different rhythms and all that jazz. Go into the vocals and cut out every single word and then put it together that they're talking like this, like that. Play with it. Just experiment and just lose yourself in it. Every track's got a soul. Figure out what that soul is and exploit it, kill it, make it greater, whatever. Make it yours. That's what I think anyway. Mez.
So I was struggling with I was trying to do a remix for Julius and just did not like that, and so I'm trying to redo that, and I wanted to I don't know, I was thinking of chopping it up and trying to like attach it to buttons to play it like that, but so my like gold standard for remixes is Grendel. Their EP Chemicals and Circuitry has like some amazing remixes of the 2 tracks that are on there. And then they also had Time Wave Zero, the remix tracks that are on there, amazing remixes, and they totally run the gamut of like some like slow, crunchy, unlistenable remixes to like some super trancey, dancey stuff. So I feel like that's a good smorgasbord of like. I feel like if you listen to it, you'll get some decent ideas for where you can go with remixes. Yeah, and then I read an interview with Kanga where she, because she does amazing remixes, and she said the way she likes to do it is just isolate the vocal track, listen to that, and imagine what she wants the song to sound like based on just the vocal track and go from there. So I just sort of wanted to put that into the remix discussion. Yeah.
I love it. I'll give you a trick in a minute after Rose, if I can remember.
So, one trick that you can do is I'm also a fan of remixes that transform the original song. Otherwise, it's just a cover. You know what I mean? Like then, and that's a totally different creature. You know, if you're having trouble, think about some of the remixes that you really like, listen to them, and break down the structure. And then you'll kind of notice a pattern in what you like. That's how you figure out what you like. You know, I do this when I'm writing songs as well. Like if I hit a hard spot, I'm like, how would OTEP do this? You know what I mean? How would, Jessica from Jack Off Jill do this? You know what I mean? Like, I just think about it, and I think about a song that I love from them, and I'm like, oh yeah, they would have done it like kind of like this, you know, like they would have had a breakdown right here. They would have, you know what I mean? And it's like that way it'll give you a little. If you're just, this is just if you're like stuck and you're like, I don't know what the fuck to do. Holy shit, I got to do this remix. I said I was gonna do it, and now I suck because I can't come up with anything, or the thing I came up with is total trash. What do I do? So that's what you can do. Just literally just listen to a couple of remixes and write down the structures and the differences between the structure of the remixes versus the original songs. And then you're like, oh, I see. They took like part of the bridge and they put it in the beginning, and they only took the first verse, and they, you know, it's like, and that'll just give you some little grab bag of tricks. And what you can do is you can write down those tricks on little pieces of paper. This is what we used to do in circus school. Write them down on a little piece of paper, all the different little tricks that you figured out, right? Throw them in a paper bag, shake it up, and pull one out. And do it. And see if it works with the song that you're working on. And just keep pulling shit out and seeing what happens. And that's literally how we would choreograph our circus performances sometimes, when we were like, okay, we have all of these moves, but how do we chain them together? You know, and we would just do that. We would just be like, we called it the bag of tricks, you know, and it was a bag that literally had all the tricks that you could do in it. And you were like, okay, combine this trick with this trick. And let's see if your body can actually physically move in that direction. You know what I mean? And that these two things make sense together. And you just kind of build it as you go, you know, and give yourself some credit also, you know, like if you think it sucks, don't trash it. Wait like a day or two, give yourself time, because sometimes you have an expectation of what you think it should sound like. And then you create this thing and you're like, this doesn't sound like the thing. That means it's trash. No, that just means it's different. You know what I mean? Whether it's trash or not remains to be seen, because right now you're too in your head about the fact that it doesn't sound like what you thought it was going to sound like, and why not? And you start just doubting yourself and hating yourself. And you shouldn't do that. You know what I mean? Like, just give yourself a little bit of distance, work on something else, you know what I mean? And come back to it, circle back to it the next day. I guarantee you're not going to hate it as much. And you're going to actually see the valuable things that are in there and where you can fix it. But if you just say, oh God, this is trash, and you just throw it away, then it's just gone. You know what I mean? Like I said, you can always Frankenstein pieces that you've come up with. Those are your pieces. You made those. You know what I mean? Like, you did it. So it's okay to use it later on. If it didn't fit into this piece, that doesn't mean that Lego piece is useless. That just means that maybe when you get some other Lego pieces later, it'll fit better on that one. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I gotta say.
Thank you. There's a really solid trick you can do when you get that chorus and you're happy with that chorus, the vocal, and that is have the bass line follow the rhythm of the vocals. So if the vocals are going ba 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 ba, your bass line goes boom 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 ba ba boom ba boom, and then everything else also goes boom 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 ba ba boom ba boom. That when the song's doing its thing and it comes to that point and everything jumps on the same rhythm as the vocals, it'll go nuts. It will absolutely destroy. And obviously, and then for the verse, you take that bang, 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 and that you wind it straight back. You pull it down, so that becomes, you know, the composite rhythm in the verse parts, or the A or the B things, whatever you're going for. Use what's already there, because remember that from that chorus, and really a solid song is all about the chorus. Exploit that chorus, and jump everything on that chorus. And I say rewrite all the music. Totally rewrite the music. Rewrite the chords under it, because if you want the song to sound like it's a different character, a different personality, change the chords, and it will change the intention of what's being said and what's being sung. And as the melody moves over different chords, it starts to become even. And that's fun. Does anybody else have anything they want to bring up? Cause we're really close to time. No. Okay, my closing thing is I'm building an instrument. Oh, and we won't be doing Art of Rock next week, possibly the week after, or possibly the week after that, but I'll keep you posted because I'm off-site. I'm building an instrument. So I'm researching all of these fun things, for example, piano wire, and the tension of piano wire, and how to use a pickup really with piano wire. And what's the deal with pegs and piano wire? It's the most wonderful thing. Anyway, that's where I'm at, if anybody gives a shit. Because instruments are fun. Building a new instrument is fun. Because I need to do that. I need to invigorate my brain with something that's great. And building weird instruments is really awesome, because you can actually get in there and play it strangely to create new sounds and new things. When you start bowing stuff and tapping on it, it's lovely. And you don't even have to, add all these effects. You can just do madness. I did a gig with Needle Factory. They're awesome. They're also in Manchester, and they did a remix for Angelspit. They're bloody great. Alex.
Yeah, I really love building instruments in theory. For me myself, is the worry is that I distract myself from actually making music. And I somehow managed to have still so much backlog because I bought this little board where you can like in software build your own synthesizer and connect your own dials. And I really need to do this because they have like the algorithms of the mutual instrument stuff, and it would be such a great effects box and synthesizer, and haven't done that. And also Delphi has this really cool DIY synth kits, and I always wanted to build like a really cool synth with like big jacks in a suitcase, but I neither have the time nor the money to do it. But it would be so cool, like, I don't know.
Old school.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good. It's good to that's been something really nice that in my research of these things, my brain has been thinking about other things and have been thinking about other tonal possibilities, which has become a most wonderful thing. Because like that's part of the whole thing, is that I've got to inject something new into the brain to kind of think of new insane things. Okay. I think we should raid to MTV TV. I think some amazing music is waiting for us there. Let's do it. Let's raid. And thank you everybody for joining us. It's been great, and we're going to do this again soon. Rock. Bye. 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 Bye.